Against the Gods is a Chinese web novel by Mars Gravity. I will be reading the English translation done by Alyschu and Company over at wasioworld.com/atg-index, or click the link provided in the description below. I will say this first off that I do not speak any Chinese, and I'm sorry if I mispronounce any of the character names, and I will do my best to pronounce them properly. I am learning Japanese, so my pronunciation may be influenced by this fact. Please feel free to correct me on any names or places that I am mispronouncing. Without further ado, here we go. Prologue. On Divine Secret Mountain, Cloud's End Cliff was the most harmful of the 4 deadliest places on Azure Cloud continent. Cloud's End Cliff was often called the Grim Reaper's Cemetery. During the countless years, people that fall off this cliff were far too many to count. None survived, including 3 god-tier overlords whose power could lead them into the sky. At this moment, on the edge of this cliff, a black-haired, black-eyed youth leaned on the side of a rock that measured 2 people in height. There was blood everywhere on top of his black clothing with many open wounds on his person. He was on the rock for just a few breaths worth of time, yet under his feet was already a pool of blood. On his chest heaved, and it could be said that the pace at which he breathed was heavy enough to cause fear in a person. On his entire body, every one of his muscles trembled slightly, indicating his exhaust and loss of strength. If it weren't for this giant rock, he probably would not have been able to stand on his own. However, both of his eyes were cold and calm, like 2 cold blades, shining with the ferocity of wolves. The edge of his mouth sneered with extreme disdain. In front of him stood a dark crowd of people that have blocked all his escape routes. "Yunche, you've been cornered! If you obey us and hand over the Sky Poison Pearl, perhaps we may allow you to live. Today we're going to enforce justice on behalf of heaven to get rid of the scourge. If you hurry up and quickly surrender the Sky Poison Pearl, we can let you die a happy death, or you will taste the pain of 1,000 blades in your heart." "Yunche, stop being so stubborn! Your only way out is to hand over the Sky Poison Pearl. You're unworthy of such a holy object." Waves of roar came from the crowd, with everyone shouting words like justice and righteousness. If anyone from the Azure Cloud continent passed by, they would be stunned by the scene. This dark cloud of people consisted of the strongest clans of the Azure Cloud continent. Their leaders of the clans were all present, and even some of the forgotten old members were there as well. It is not too far-fetched to say that if you pick anyone out from this crowd, he would be someone that can shake any region. Now, they were all gathered for this youth who had been pushed to the edge of this cliff, specifically for the Sky Poison Pearl in his hand, the number 1 holy object of the Azure Cloud continent. While slowly approaching, the crowd shouted with a threatening menace. When the Sky Poison Pearl finally showed up again, they were faced with this irresistible treasure once more. After hunting for 3 full days, they could not wait to harvest the fruits of their labor. "You guys want this Sky Poison Pearl?" Yunche laughed coldly. He slowly raised his right hand. A jade-green ball with dim radiance appeared in his hand. The moment the pearl glowed, everyone stopped in their tracks, staring tightly at the green pearl. Their eyes shone with greed. To Yunche, these people who were strong enough to scare the world looked filthy and sly. He slowly raised his eyes. Although cornered, his pupils shone with arrogance and mockery. There is a clear hatred deep in his eyes. "My master spent his life trying to save the world. He saved countless people seeking neither benefit nor fame but because of this Sky Poison Pearl, you guys from this so-called justice sect killed my teacher 7 years ago. I hate myself for being so useless that I didn't finish all of you dog shit justice sects off in these 7 years. Everyone of this deep-seated hatred Although it has been 7 years, just thinking about the death of his teacher still made bloody tears stream down the edge of his eyes. Yunshe did not know who his parents were, for when his teacher found him, it seemed like he was only a few days old. It was deep in the springtime when his teacher picked up Yunshe. The clouds were scattered, the wind was light, the mountain spiritual, and the water crystal clear. He named the child Yunshe in hopes his heart would be pure as clouds and as clear as water, so that when he grows up he will inherit his craft as a healer to rescue the dying and cure the injured with a heart void of corruption. No matter how serious the disease or trauma, teacher would clear them all. This was due to the sky poison pearl hidden in his body. The two words, sky poison, meant that this pearl was highly toxic, but medicine and poison are of the same origin. Teacher never used its poison. He only used alchemy to extract, melt, and in the end produce holy medicines to save millions of lives. He taught all of his medical skills to Yunshe thoroughly, but 7 years ago, word of his sky poison pearl was spread. He gave it to Yunshe and told him to escape. Shortly afterwards, he died at the hands of the major sects. When the news of his teacher's death reached Yunshe, he cried out for 3 days and 3 nights. The root of his hatred was firmly planted inside of his heart, and he no longer practiced in the medical, but instead he absorbed poison from the pearl. Revenge became his only belief. After 7 years, he mastered the poison and bared the fangs of his revenge. In less than 10 days, the poison spread not only thousands of miles, killing thousands of people, but also panic and horror throughout the Azure Cloud continent. He attracted the strong and mighty, for they were fascinated by this treasure. This started the hunt of Yunshe in order to obtain the sky poison pearl, to the situation right now. He glared at everyone in his field of vision with hatred in his eyes and laughed coldly. As soon as his laughter reached the level of ice, he roared, "You sons of bitches! You want my sky poison pearl? You are all daydreaming!" After making this deep proclamation, Yunshe suddenly raised his hand and threw the sky poison pearl into his mouth. Then he pushed the pearl down his throat, and it instantly rushed straight into his stomach. What? What are you doing? He actually swallowed the sky poison pearl! Yunshe, do you want to die that badly? It's fine. No big deal. We will kill him and take the pearl. The sky poison pearl entered his body, but the poison didn't spread out in his body and kill him like they thought it would. The faint green lights emitted from the surface of his body. Kill him now! Otherwise the sky poison pearl may change inside his body. That would be a huge problem! Roaring, the dozen people in front of the front row went for Yunshe at the same time. Looking at the bodies of people that he wanted to destroy, Yunshe began to laugh. His laughter was weak and dry, but very arrogant. I don't have the ability to kill you guys, but don't think that you can kill me. You pieces of trash are not worthy of this sky poison pearl, but even more unworthy of killing me. If I die, I would die by my own hands. Ha 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 ha! After laughing, Yunshe used every bit of his last strength to jump backwards. Stop him! The several hands reached out to Yunshe after realizing his intent, but could not even grasp half his shadow. He could only watch as his body free-falled down into the valley. Jae-Yun Cliff, it is very suitable for this. Yu-Chain's grave. With translation note, Yun means cloud. There is nothing to hold me back, for I no longer have ties in this world. Unfortunately, I could not avenge my teacher, nor find my biological parents. Yunshe greatly held the silver pendant in front of his chest. It was the only thing he had on him when his teacher found him. The wind screamed past his ears as he slowly closed his eyes and let his body plunge deep into the seemingly endless dark abyss. Chapter 1. Yunshe Zhaoche. Yunshe's consciousness gradually awakened. What's going on? How is it that I have not died? I vividly remember that I jumped off clouds in cliff. How can I still be alive? Somehow my body is not in pain, and I do not even feel the slightest discomfort. How is this happening? Yunshe suddenly opened his eyes and quickly sat up. He found himself in the comfortably soft bed, with a red banner hanging above him, rendering a festive atmosphere. Ah! Zhaoche! You woke up! A girl's grasp of surprise was heard from his ear, and the same girl appeared in his line of sight. At a glance, the girl dressed in green looked to be 15 or 16 years of age. She was as fair as snow, with charming rosy red lips, with a delicate nose. A touching deep look of surprise was expressed by eyes as clear and transparent as a pool of translucent spring water. Her face exuded a dazzling gentleness and softness. At this young age, she already exhibited such charm. Who can possibly imagine what sort of beauty she would be in the future? Standing at the nearby girl, Yunshe took a closer look, and unconsciously let two words escape his lips. Little aunt? The fair girl lifted her jade-like hands onto Yunshe's forehead and relaxed soon after. With a joyful expression, she spoke. How delightful! Your temperature is almost back to normal. You nearly scared me to death. Zhaoche, are you okay? Tell me if you feel uncomfortable anywhere. In the face of the girl's eyes that filled with deep concern, Yunshe suddenly woodenly shook his head. He stared openly into space with a vacant gaze. Rest here for a while. I'll go and tell your grandpa that you're awake. Today is your day. When you fainted, your grandfather almost went crazy and personally went to find Dr. Seta for you. The girl was in such a rush that she did not notice the abnormality of Yunshe's current state. She pushed Yunshe's shoulders, signaling him to lie back on the bed, and hurriedly left. As the door shut, Yunshe sat up on the bed, hands clutching his head. This was one of the cities in the Far East located in one of the 7 empires of the profound sky continent, Floating Cloud City. And he was the only grandson of the 5th elder of the Zhao clan, Zhaoche. He had just turned 16 this year. That was his current identity. Suddenly his memory overlapped with Azure Cloud Continent's 20 or so years of memory, and he burst in confusion. If I am Zhaoche, then why do I have memories of Azure Cloud Continent? Is it because I traveled to this body after I died in Azure Cloud Continent? No, I am obviously Zhaoche. This entire room is familiar to me, and I clearly remember all the events of my childhood. Everything from my memory was from personal experience, and there is no way I could steal another's memory. Then, was everything from Azure Cloud Continent all just a dream? Was it only after I jumped off Jue-Yun Cliff that I truly woke up? But the memories of living in Azure Cloud Continent were as clear as day. How could those 24 years of love and hatred be only just a dream? What the hell is going on? Yunshe. The now Zhaoche stilled for a long time as he slowly calmed down and settled his thoughts. It was still early in the morning, and the sky had not fully brightened. Today was his and Xia clan's big wedding day. 2 hours ago he was woken up by his little aunt and put on his red wedding robe. He ate the porridge his little aunt personally made and lost all the strength in his body. He did not remember anything that happened after that. He did not wake up until now. The strange smell came from his lips, and Zhaoche's lips tucked slightly. his expression darkened. This is murdering heart powder. In those years, he lived in a zero-cloud continent, with the sky poison pearl in his body. Yunshe learned all about the poisons present in the entire world, and it could be said that there is no poison he was not familiar with. He could identify a poison's name and effect with just a whiff. At the same time, because of the sky poison pearl, he was impervious. He could not be hurt by any poison, no matter how toxic it was. Murdering heart powder was made by combining a unique soul grass and the purple striae from a cherry apple tree. If dissolved in water, the poison is colorless and tasteless. A person would lose his life 10 seconds after the poison entered the body, and nobody would know the cause of death, for it was almost a traceless poison. Zhao Che's eyes clouded over, and instantly understood what had happened. In fact, he did not really faint, but instead he drank the porridge containing the murdering heart powder, but was poisoned to death. He was born in a zero-cloud continent, but after he left off Jue Yun Cliff, he was actually reincarnated in this world inside a dead body. If one were to hear this, it would sound like it came from one of the stories in Arabian Nights, but that was the only reasoning that Zhao Che could imagine. Wait a minute. If it was really like that, then this body should have no antitoxin ability. How come he was safe from the murdering heart powder on his lips when the previous body's owner died not too long ago? A slightly strange feeling came from the palm of his left hand. Zhao Che lifted his left hand and was surprised to find that there was a circular green imprint on his palm. This shape, this color, this size, was clearly the same as the sky poison pearl. Before jumping off Jue Yun Cliff, he had desperately swallowed the sky poison pearl, but he did not actually know what would happen to him. This mark on his hand was unexpectedly the sky poison pearl, and it actually crossed over with him to this world. As if in a trance, Zhao Che stared at the sky poison pearl and subconsciously whispered, "Sky poison pearl." As his voice dropped off, the green mark on his palm suddenly released a green light. Immediately, a slight dizziness came over him, and he unconsciously closed his eyes. When he opened them, his entire world was flooded in green. This world of green was wide and open. There were no boundaries to be seen, and there was a faint scent of the sky poison pearl throughout this space. After a long days, Zhao Che understood that he had entered the world inside the sky poison pearl. Who would have thought that inside the sky poison pearl there would be such a wide and open world? What was even more unimaginable was that he had ate the sky poison pearl without thinking of the consequences. The sky poison pearl had actually traveled along with him, and even seemed to have become part of his body. If there was a way in, there must be a way out. Zhao Che closed his eyes and concentrated his thoughts. Suddenly, the world of green hastily dissipated, and when he opened his eyes again, in his vision was the room he was familiar with. Staring at the faint green mark on his palm, Zhao Che slowly smiled, even though it was not known why this ridiculous event occurred. Not only had he reincarnated, but he had also retained memories from both lives. Maybe even the gods couldn't watch the suffering of the two lives, took pity, and gave him a second chance to live again. Yunshe was the victim of persecution from Azure Cloud Continent's countless strongest individuals. Although he died in the end, he shook the world by himself. How awe-inspiring and astonishing was that! However, his body right now was only average. No, speaking without restraints, it could be considered the epitome of weakness. In Profound Sky Continent, profound strength was most important. Although Zhao Che was born in the Zhao clan, and was even the grandchild of the strongest fifth elder Zhao Lie, his profound power was still level 1 in the elementary profound realm, which, even though he is already 16. He started training his spirit power when he was 7.5, entered elementary profound level 1 at age of 8, and then didn't improve for an entire 8 years. He was mocked by all the Zhao clan. Afterwards, Zhao Liye invited Floating Cloud City's top-class doctor, Dr. Seto, to examine his body, and shockingly found that Zhao Che was born with damaged profound veins. The damage was so severe that it was almost impossible to recover from. In this state, Zhao Che would stagnate at the first level of elementary profound realm and could never improve further no matter how hard he worked. Even if he trained with his life on the line, he would stay at the first level of the elementary profound realm his entire life. This kind of person was unquestionably the lowest existence in the profound sky continent, and it was a total laughingstock within the Zhao clan. If not for his grandfather Zhao Liye being the strongest in the Zhao clan, who also could be said to be the strongest in the Floating Cloud City, no one would bat an eye against him. Zhao clan was one of the 3 major families that trained in the ways of the profound in the Floating Cloud City, and had limitless strong entities. In the strong number of youths coming forth from the same generation, the Zhao Che can be said to be an unnecessary existence. Even if he had died someday, not many except a few would care. But there are some today that actually tried to murder him using the extremely hard to get and expensive murdering heart powder. Zhao Che clearly knew the reason why now, because today was the running day between him and Zia Qingye. Zia Qingye was the same age as him, and also 16. However, at such a young age, her profound strength was stated to have reached the 10th level of elementary profound realm, almost breaking out of the elementary level and stepping into the nascent profound realm. She was the only one in 100 years that has reached this level of profound strength at the age of 16 in the Zia clan. There are even rumors that if she continued to develop this way, a few decades later she would be the first person in the history of the Zia clan to ever step into the Earth profound realm, or may even be able to reach the Sky profound realm that no one in Floating Cloud City had even thought of reaching in the past few centuries. More importantly, she was not only shockingly astute, but also extremely beautiful, and was considered to be the most beautiful girl by the entire Floating Cloud City. All Floating Cloud City's youths with some level of competency drooled over her. If the Zia clan started to look for grooms, the line waiting would probably be long enough to stretch between the south and north gates of Floating Cloud City. This pinnacle of a girl with both intelligence and beauty in Floating Cloud City was actually marrying the generation's most worthless youth with no future at all. Who knew how many people were stomping in their feet in anger and jealousy? This was wholly a case of a dazzling lotus flower planted in a pile of manure that no one would even bother to look at. The ones had unrequited love for Zia Qingye, of course, held both extreme jealousy and hatred towards Zhao Che, even more unwillingly to give up, and would try to assassinate him by poisoning. As the current Zhao Che thought about it, this situation didn't seem to be bizarre at all. Women really are the root of troubles. Zhao Che got off the bed, stood up, and soliloquized. But as he thought of the beauty and charm of Zia Qingye that could tip over a whole city, he opened his mouth and laughed heartily. Still, I get to marry such a bride? This was really a good beginning. And that is the end of chapter 1. Till next time, it's Death signing off.